Hello and welcome to the Awaken Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Kaki Lee, a mindset coach and healer who's on a mission to share the love and wisdom of inspiring women from around the world who have gone through adversity and turned their pain into purpose. Today, I am excited to share the love and wisdom of Jessica Briggs, who is a family therapist, a light healer, and a Akashic Records reader. She's joining me all the way from Mount Chester in California. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm so excited to have you on the Awaken Feminine podcast. Before we dive into your journey, I really love to know what is your definition of an awakened feminine or an awakened woman?
Oh, so beautiful. So, I experience awakened feminine energy actually as a river of consciousness that includes our Mother Earth, all the wisdom of this planet, our feminine ancestors, all the goddesses and deities. And it's this river that we can flow into and harmonize with and tap into the vibration of. And it's something I feel actually when I'm interacting with somebody and they express kindness, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I love that. I got goosebumps. That's a beautiful, beautiful definition. Thank you for
Oh.
that. So, Jessica, I'd love to start on your journey. I've already mentioned that you're a family therapist, a light healer, and a Akashic Records reader. And I actually just recently had a reading, a Akashic Record reading with you, and it was amazing. So, I really love you to share your journey from what you were doing before you were doing all these things to where you are now.
Oh, so beautiful. So I'm actually wearing my college sweatshirt. I attended UCLA to study mathematics.
No.
And it was interesting because I think I want to start my journey there because I felt so relatable that I was focused on doing things the right way and like being good, you know?
Yeah. I can relate to that.
I was like, I'm gonna work really hard. I'm gonna do all my assignments. I like never missed class in college. Maybe that part isn't relatable. I loved what I was studying. And when it came time to like say yes to a job offer, because coming out of, that department, there's plentiful job offers, right? Because our world loves math people. And um, so what I said yes to was teaching mathematics. And this was actually like a rebellion of sorts from my peers who mostly chose like, investment banking and finance and things like that. And I had done internships in that world and had a taste of it, but something inside me said, no, I want to give back because Kaki, I have been the recipient of so much kindness in my life, like so much. And even at that age, I had this feeling of like, I've benefited and it's time to give back. So I taught mathematics and aligned myself with this program called Teach for America, if anyone's heard of that. And that like really kicked my ass in a lot of ways. I had great outcomes on paper, and people who observed me believed I was a good teacher. But inside, I felt really low self-esteem and really low self-worth. And so I took a job that would allow me to have my meditation practice because I wanted to start meditating like morning and night. And at that time, I was the hours I kept as an educator in California were like all the time. That was the nature of the school I was at. And kind of to fast forward a little bit, I took an easy job and got a solid meditation practice. And during that time, I also became somewhat of a caretaker for my father experiencing mental health challenges, as well as physical health challenges, as well as addiction. And there was a week where my partner, who I thought was the love of all my lives, not just this life, we parted ways. And I had an incident at work where I was like, wow, I'm really not going to be treated respectfully at the end of the day. Like there's a lot of showmanship around. We're a great place to work, but not a lot of like actually honoring the work week hours. Like they wanted
Yeah.
me to do way more than any human being could ever do in a normal work week,
Yeah.
like I'm no slacker.
Yeah.
And and then also I was taking care of my dad, and he was really drunk one night, and he beat me up. And I said, okay, so I'm done taking care of that now. And so I took all these savings, and I took a year off of work, over a year,
Yeah.
and I did my whole bucket list. So
Wow.
I did a 3 month, mostly silent meditation retreat at Karma Choling in Vermont. Thank you, Karma Choling. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vermont. I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Canada.
Wow.
And I also traveled around a little bit before landing back in the Bay. And at that time, my mind, because I was still allowing my mind to make decisions, and my mind was like, you need to get a good paying job, like go back into project management or something, and save a bunch of money and buy a house and whatever. And God had a different plan, or universe or goddess had a different plan for me. It was like, even though I had such a lovely resume, it was like the only thing that was gonna work out for me was being a behavioral therapist.
Yeah.
And that is not a good paying job, but it was 100% like the most beloved job for me, And I also received the calling to do Akashic Records readings and to step into my gifts as a healer. And people had been telling me for years, you're a healer. And I was like, haha, no,
Yeah.
I'm a businesswoman. Okay.
I study maths.
Yeah. And, but people experienced me as a healing person, to
Yeah.
be around. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, such a beautiful journey. And I'm sure so many people listening to this can relate to being that good girl, doing all the things right, and the low self-esteem. I mean, I had the same thing where outside it looked like I had a really good career and I'm
Mhm.
achieving all these things, but inside I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I fitted in with that image outside. So, yeah, that's such a beautiful story that you shared and your journey and the healing thing. I mean, I told you before, I'm quite new to it, but it is like when you're so, I mean, maths and science kind of go together where it's so logical. It's just so you can see it, right? There's evidence there. And then you go to this side and you're like, well, I can't see it. So it's not there, right?
Yeah, and I also had so many stories around um, like the way to make change is through business. It's through economics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or it could be through science or
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a funny story now, right?
Yeah. It is. It is so funny because you just go from this, yeah, this such a I guess, logical um, background to this, it's not illogical, but it's just, you can't see it. So people don't believe it most times. And until you actually walk that path and go through your journey, a lot of people don't believe it until they do.
They don't. I also feel cocky. I want to give a shout out to all the people who like, because you and I were both really good girls, but I'm sure there's people listening who are like, I made every mistake in the book. I made, I learned by messing up or something like that.
Yeah.
So I just want to send some love to those listeners too, because we all have our own like perfect and beloved journey that we
Yeah.
get to go through.
Yeah, definitely. And we love all of, humanity, whether you are the very good girl, the rebel, whatever you are in the in between. It's, we're all
Yeah.
on this big journey to really self-discovery, really.
Yeah. Kake, I kind of want to ask you a question. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because that also brought up something for me. So I am 28 years old. I'm quite young,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of young women in their 20s kind of doing this similar thing, maybe even women in their 30s. But what what is your perspective on like women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like stepping into their healing journey?
I don't think there's I don't think there's an age limit, and I think everyone awakens at the time that is meant for them. So
Mm.
even if you're in your 50s, your 60s, 70s, 90s, hundreds, whatever age you are, if you feel that calling, I really think answer it, because it's really the most beautiful gift that you can give to yourself.
Oh, Kaki, so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I've never been asked a question before. Like, Debbie. Oh, I love it. So, oh, I got a bit teary with that. So Jessica, I want to ask you actually, for those people who don't know what Akashic Records are, can you just give a really brief overview of what it actually is
Yeah, it
and what
is
you do?
a
Yeah.
it is a vibrational record of your soul's journey since the inception of your soul. And um, when I do a reading for somebody, I am connecting with their masters, teachers, and loved ones. So our masters have known us since the inception of our soul. Our teachers focus on specific life lessons with us, such as responsibility or self-worth. And our loved ones is like our tribe on the other side. And so somebody comes to me, and I'm really in conversation with and directing the energy about this infinite resource, which is your soul, literally infinite, infinite depth, infinite possibility, infinite kindness, infinite love. And as a reader, I direct the energy to pull down what is the most like meaningful and beneficial information for your greatest and highest good. So let's say you come to me and I'm starting to feel a sense of like, oh, this person doesn't believe in themselves. Then I, as a reader, get to pull down whatever it is that can be felt or expressed or shown, to shift that narrative and change that energy pattern towards
Yeah.
believing in oneself. But we also do like past lives, we do trauma, we do guidance on career. There's
Yeah.
no, it's infinite. There's no limit.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, when I had that reading with you, I was just like, whoa, holy shit, this is amazing. And I think I cried more than talked during the session, but it was just such a great, shift of energy within me and a lot of healing. So, yeah, thank you so much for that. But yeah, you do such a beautiful job, and I really highly recommend, if you've got anything you want to heal, or yeah, heal, then go see Jessica. She's amazing.
Oh, it is such a honor.
Yeah.
Our session together was a privilege for me, and
Yeah.
I just loved getting to see you. I mean, I think one time we were looking at a younger version of you, and I started to cry because I was like, Kaki, you are so beautiful. Like how just the sincerity with which you were trying in
Yeah.
your life, in all areas of life, it was so sincere. It like touched me. And then also, I hope this is okay to share, and you can edit out if not.
Yeah, it's
But that
fine.
piece of, like, not knowing how things were gonna work out in terms of, like, love and family.
Yeah.
And isn't that relatable,
Yeah.
right?
You never know. You never know. You have this vision of the love of your life, right? What it's supposed to look like, but it usually ends up being completely different. Or you might always like certain types of people, and then you end up being the love of your life is someone completely different to the types that you liked before. So you just
Yeah,
you just don't know. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I'm recently in a new relationship, and it's so funny because I almost ran away at first. I was almost like, "Oh, hell no, I'm not going to this. No way," you know? And then my guides are like, "It's the perfect medicine for you. It's
Yeah.
the perfect medicine." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, yeah, to what you said.
Yeah. Yeah. I love our conversation. So I want to keep going. So, Jessica, I want to ask you, did you have a spiritual awakening or aha moment that kind of opened up your gifts, I guess, because you just don't go from being in mathematics to suddenly be able to read Akashic records. So, what was what was the catalyst or the spark that really just allowed you to step into that?
For me, like, I didn't know that it was happening all along, but I can see all along how it was always happening, and I didn't know, like, other people didn't always tap into it. Like, ever since I was a little kid, I could timeline hop and see myself at different ages, and it
Wow.
like, to a T. Like, no, and there was never a doubt in my mind that that was gonna come to pass or that was the trajectory, or even like I remember had some wayward years when I was in high school,
Yeah.
like partying a little too much.
Yeah.
And I could like visually see myself like where this path was going and versus this path and how to get from one to the other. And so, yeah, I never really talked about it maybe that explicitly because it was so ingrained in me and I thought everyone had that experience.
Yeah.
And like I thought, yeah, and a lot of the mystical side of things for me has to do with nature and like seeing light. So like seeing the sunlight and having a certain relationship to sunlight, and
Mhm.
having a certain thankfulness in my heart for an appreciation for mystery and appreciation for the joy of life and a natural attunement within me towards kindness and that it matters and that what we do matters. And so those were all things that were always a part of my lived experience. But what really like got me from like that version of me to like now I'm like, okay, so this is what it's called, and this is what your spirit guide is saying, and you had a past life like this. Like that version of me was my teacher, Maria Hoswell, Haswell, and she just basically said, trust yourself, and like this is what's happening, and she just let me know, like, yeah, that's what this is,
Yeah.
and to trust it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So it was just very organic how it all happened, and you've actually always done it, but then it was just believing that that was what it was or is.
Yeah, or putting some understanding around like how my experience maybe is a bit different than other people's.
Mm,
Kind of a funny story, but I was on a meditation retreat with one of my favorite meditation instructors, and he has Parkinson's,
yeah.
so he doesn't always have the capacity to speak. So I would tell him like, "Oh, I was in meditation, and I think this being came and visited me, and like this was the message they showed me, and these were like all the mystical things that happened in this interaction with this other being." But because of our meditation lineage is all about no big deal,
Mm,
and also in part because he can't really speak, he just like nodded, and
mm,
I think he asked me a really practical question to like kind of keep me focused on the here and now and be like, it's not a big deal,
yeah.
let it go.
Yeah. uh, um, Jessica, I want to ask you, can you share with us in this moment, in this current chapter of your life, what is your personal mission?
My personal mission is, um, oh gosh, so much selfless service. selfish and selfless. They're kind of the same,
Yeah.
they're kind of the same in a way. But service to the highest good. And the question I keep asking myself is like, how can I best support right now?
Yeah.
And what does my soul want to create? And so for me right now, that looks like writing children's books and building a school
Yeah.
and offering more apprenticeship opportunities, because what I do, I don't want to say like everybody can do exactly what I do my way, because then people might be disappointed when it doesn't work out for them. But I can say that everyone has their own
Yeah.
gifts and talents. And so offering more opportunities for people to trust themselves.
Yeah. I love that. You're just such a loving soul. I can just feel the love and kindness through the screen. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you. That's such a beautiful mission. And I'm, excited to see how that all unfolds for you and for the world. So I'd love to go a bit deeper with you, Jessica, if that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Was there a particular experience you've been through that you found the most challenging but really led to your biggest breakthrough?
Oh my gosh. Kaki, I've had a lot of really challenging experiences in my life that all come back to my relationship with myself. So I'm thinking about, you know, the mental illness in my family and living with caregivers who were mentally unstable or abusive in a whole variety of ways. Um, and I'm also thinking about like the times in my life where I was socially ostracized. Um, I had this experience when I was in high school where I was a freshman in high school and there's a lot of drinking involved, and I was videotaped having like a sexual encounter, and
Mm,
I've never really like reconciled whether it was rape or not exactly, but there was so much slut shaming of me after that,
mm,
and showing up the next day and brushing my teeth and showing my face and living through those high school years with that weight. um yeah, but every time I mention something like that, the thing that's most hard about these scenarios is the relationship with myself, that
yeah,
i I was hard on myself. I punished myself for these things, and I took on too much responsibility for myself, and I put on too much pressure on myself to like be a good daughter, be a good sister, be a good community member, whatever role I thought I needed to take. So at the end of the day, yeah, living with myself has been the hardest thing, and then making friends with myself has been seriously the greatest gift of my life.
yeah. I love that. And it is so true that I think for many, many people, not just women, can relate to that, that relationship with self where we put so much pressure on ourselves to be the best or be a certain version that we think is the best, right? And when we're not there, we get frustrated and we get upset and we beat ourselves up for it. But really, the best version of you is the version that you are now, and to accept where you are now. And if you want to go to that next version of you, the 2.0 version, work towards it, but accept where you are now so you can give yourself that love and be the friend, be that best friend for yourself, right? So it's just beautiful that that's how you learned that.
Oh, yes. It's
uh
like as much trauma as we experience, I truly don't see how anything could be more traumatizing than being hateful towards yourself.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think even the most enlightened person still has those moments where they go into those negative narratives, right? But it's again when you start working on yourself, you have that self-awareness to go, okay, all right, stop there. What are you doing? Rather than just letting it keep going and really seeping in so that, your whole body is in this trauma state because you're just continuously doing it to yourself.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. So, Jessica, I want to ask you, with the, you said you've gone through a lot of um, challenges in your life. What were some of the tools or teachers that's been really helpful in your healing process?
Good. Energy healing has been huge. Yeah. Flower essences are like a huge support for me. Rituals in nature, like praying into a cup of water and adding like whatever plants feel called to it, and then offering that to the earth into maybe a natural body of water and asking it to be turned into love.
Yeah.
So, like, I've experienced such profound shifts from those types of acts. And then I also love personally meditation. And I don't necessarily think that everyone should meditate, at least in the way that meditation is taught.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's right for anyone else.
Yeah.
But for me, um, with such a active mind, meditation and silent retreat has been like some of the most deepening experiences of my life.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I agree with you that everyone should find their own meditation practice that suits them, because I've done a lot of different ones, but there's certain ones that actually stick, and then there's certain ones that I'm just like, what's happening? This is not working for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, because I think right now there's such a push in mainstream to that meditation is good for you, and it is good for you, but there's you need to find the right one and keep and not feel like if you've tried once and it didn't work that it doesn't work for you.
Yeah. And I would also say, like, I think meditation can be a really inefficient path to healing at times
Yeah.
because it can be very roundabout. A lot of meditation communities can be very hierarchical. And yeah, it can take too long.
Yeah.
I think that if it's for you, it's for you, and whatever is for you is for you, and be open to other modalities as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes taking a walk in nature, that is, if you're in, very present when you do that, that's meditation, right? Or if you do
Mhm.
yoga, or those things are meditative practices as well. So you don't need to be sitting there and doing the that's what the betrayal is just finding something which allows you to really just be present and not have your mind go here, there, and everywhere, right?
Absolutely. And perhaps more to the point, like, do and be what you're here to do and be.
Mm,
So, like, if somebody's path is to be a lifeguard, I don't want them in the meditation community spending their entire life thinking they have to meditate to wake up when, like, what they need to do is go be lifeguarding
yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
their dharma, that's their path.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that is very, very true. Just not being rigid about what you should do, right? Because it's promoted so much that meditation is good for you. You should do meditation, but as you were saying, if it doesn't serve you, just let it go. Even if everyone says you should, and it's the best thing to do when you wake up, or whatever time it is, the best time to meditate, do what serves you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can trust yourself.
Yeah. Yes. That's such a hard thing to do though.
Well, I especially think for moms like you, Kaki, like, being a mom is already so much. It's already so much. I would hate to add something else to your plate, other than just to do what's right for you, trust yourself, be good to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So, Jessica, I don't know if you're like an avid reader or not, but I love reading.
Mm.
Can you share with us if there's any books or a particular book that, really changed your life?
Oh, okay. I do love reading. I'm a slow reader. In general, for me personally, I don't consume a lot of information, whether it's written or
Mm,
verbal or things like that, because it's just not my style.
mm,
But I loved The Sacred Path of the Warrior by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche.
okay.
And what else? I love the Dune series. I think there's a lot of mystical information in that series.
Yeah,
I love Shaman Durek's spirit hacking.
yeah,
I love, right now, I'm reading the Gaia Codex
yeah,
by Sarah Dewey, I don't know, maybe you
yeah,
could double check the
yeah,
author.
yeah,
Um, but I'm reading that now and I really, really love it. And I also love Deborah Hannecamp's or Mama Medicine's book, Ritual Baths.
okay. Awesome. I'm gonna have to look into all those because I'm always adding books to my list, and my list is very, very long. So just working through that. But thank you for those recommendations. Definitely will have them in the show notes as well for people if to check out. So Jessica, I wanna ask you if you could time travel and go back to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say there is nothing wrong with you. Because I carried that feeling of there was something fundamentally wrong with me for so long. So, first things first, I'd say there's nothing wrong with you. A lot of the feelings and experiences that you're having you're amplifying them from outside of you. Everyone is sensitive in different ways, and I'm extraordinarily open to what's going on in my environment.
Yeah.
And so I would say I would let her know, like, some of that's just not you, you
Yeah.
know? And I would say, like, your only responsibility is for yourself, to yourself, and yeah, to look after your own life. And you don't need to be so concerned about helping your parents or helping your siblings beyond what feels good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Take it like just knowing that you are only responsible for yourself is so important because um I think a lot of us grow up thinking that we need to save the world or save everyone from themselves, right? So just knowing that it just relieves the pressure um, of having to be there for everyone when the most
Yeah,
important person that you need to be there for is yourself. Because when you're there for yourself, then you can have that overflow of your cup to pour into other people's cup as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And other people are allowed to suffer.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
allowed to have that experience.
Yeah. That's their journey that they need to go through and learn and grow from as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, love that. Thank you. So, Jessica, this year there's been a lot of changes and a lot of people starting their awakening journey. There's a lot of people awakening this year. What advice or recommendation would you have for them for to get rid of any limiting beliefs or any fear that is holding them back? Because people like myself and yourself who are very science and logical based suddenly going, oh, what's happening? It can be quite scary. And you start thinking, am I crazy? So, what kind of advice would you give for them so that they can take that first step and start trusting themselves?
Mm-hmm. I would say that the process of trusting yourself happens step by step, moment by moment, and it takes time. So don't put any pressure or timeline on your path. And I would also say, like, like break it down to moment by moment. Like, do I want another cup of coffee? Yes or no? Like, is is what I'm about to say in this meeting, does it matter? Yes or no? Like, what do I want to eat for lunch? Is this podcast correct for me to listen to? Yes or no? And like really break it down into the manageable of like, is it for me? Is this good for me? Is this nourishing for me? Is this in alignment with me? Or is it not? And over time, I feel like that will build a lot of trust. And then on the topic of limiting beliefs and fear. So, fear is super, super important in our lives. It's so good. It is so good to be able to be like, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid of being alone, maybe. I'm afraid of spiders. I don't know. But it's so good to be like, this is my fear. And just having an intention to relate to our fear. Like, wow, fear, I love you. And I love this energy. And I love getting to know you and have a relationship with you. And then over time, it's like just not that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love that advice. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Jessica, let's take a bit of a turn. So we have talked about this, about self-love and really caring and looking after yourself. And self-love for me was such a big part of my journey. So as an awakened feminine, what are your top three go-to activities to ensure that you give yourself the self-love that you deserve?
Oh my gosh, my top three activities. One is breathing. Absolutely. So every time we breathe, we're literally breathing in light code information.
Yeah.
So breathing into that and allowing and receiving all of that light into our bodies and into our systems, for me is one of the kindest things I do for myself. Maybe activity number two would be to lay on the earth.
Yeah.
Just lay right on her and pray to her, thank her, give her respect. Yeah. And number three would be to ask for help when I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think a lot of people forget that that is a self love activity because we're not, a lot of people feel ashamed to ask for help. So that's such a beautiful self love activity. And it's such a
Yeah.
great reminder for people.
And when we ask somebody else for help, we help them, we elevate them too.
Yeah.
Like if I said, Cocky, I am overwhelmed by starting my podcast. Can you help me with some guidance?
Yeah.
Then you're like, wow, actually, I'm somebody who has something to give.
Yeah.
And that reminds you of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's part
Definitely.
of our ecosystem to ask and receive help.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, yeah, such a beautiful way to put it. And yeah, such a great reminder. Thank you. So, Jessica, before we wrap up, I'd really love to know what is setting your soul on fire right now.
What is setting my soul on fire? Um, the possibility of change and walking into an unknown future hand in hand with so many beloved people such as yourself.
Yeah.
Like our future is wide open.
Yeah.
In a way, there's some things that have momentum already that can't be stopped. But what we do with it and what we create next has infinite possibility. And there's so many people like you and like your listeners who inch by inch and step by step are creating something unfathomably beautiful. And I'm so excited to be on this planet with all of you, to be co-creating with all of you, and to just dance in this process of life to see how beautiful, how loving, how supportive can this world really be.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. And I feel all of that coming through the screen. It's, yeah, you're just such a beautiful soul. Like you are just amazing. So I love you so much.
I
Oh,
love you so much, sister. And I love
oh,
all your listeners. And I'm just sending everyone hearing this message deep gratitude and respect for your journey and total belief that yeah, we're all right where we need to be, and we're all growing and expanding, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful message and received, feeling all that. Oh, thank you so much, Jessica, for
Thank
sharing your love and wisdom with us today. If people want to find out more about you and how they can work with you, where should they go?
Yeah, if anyone's looking for retreats, I offer them here in Mount Shasta. And they can also do Zoom one on one sessions with me. And if they're interested in bringing family stuff, I'll be like hosting camps, I think this summer, depending on COVID. But I am at jessicabriggs.me. And you can find me on Instagram at Love Jess Briggs. And I am on Facebook, Jessica Briggs, but it's a little hard to find me because it's quite a common name
Yeah,
on
okay.
Facebook.
Well, I'll have all your details in and any recommended resources available in the show notes so people can actually reach out to you. And I'll find the right Jessica Briggs on Facebook so we have that in the show notes. People can just click on the link. So thank you so much once again. Beautiful.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too. And until next time, I love you. I believe in you, and you're worth taking that first step to the life of your dreams.